When you picture the perfect lover, who do you picture? And why do you think so many people find it difficult to find that kind of person that they really, deep down, truly wish to find? Coming up right after this. Good afternoon, this is Lucky Links, and this is Valentine's Day, so what better day to talk about the idea, the subject of love. It is one of the things that those of us who do psychic readings, those of us who do astrology, those who do work with people in hypnosis, it's one of the biggest subjects, if not the biggest subject, that we deal with constantly with clients. And that is the idea of lovers. Why can't I find someone who loves me? Why doesn't the lover that I have love me the way that I want? Why am I feeling disappointed in my relationships? Why has love left me cold or left me not feeling the way that I always wanted to feel? Or why did it feel that way for a little while and then die out? All of these things come up constantly when we're doing readings, and all of these things come up in astrology charts and in hypnosis, and I've seen it for years and years and years. And I'm going to share something that I have discovered recently in working with people's Tibetan astrology charts. I have discovered some very interesting things and made some very interesting connections about the state of love and about the state of relationships in the world today. When there is a section in the chart where we look at how the I Ching overlays or plays into something that's called a magic square in people's charts. It is stunning, eerie, and even shocking when you work through this section and you see what emerges. Now, the first time I did this for myself, and I did it in relation to romance, it referred to what when I was in when I was a kid and I was just becoming an adult, and even in my early 20s, what I was seeking in love in such a way that it made the hair on my arms stand up, because it articulated things that I had been seeking, that I had been driven towards, that I couldn't even put into words myself. And as a writer who was always writing stories and I still never found the words the way this laid it out for me. It gave me chills. When I started working then with clients and applying it to their charts and seeing what was going on in the area of romance of their charts, there are these moments now when I'm working on someone's romance section and I'll get it. That moment clicks where you see what's going on and what they came in with, and you get chills. Because you see, and it's an extremely intimate thing, because you see in the deepest part of them what they're driven, the kinds of lovers they're attracted to, what they're driven for, what they're seeking, and even what the purpose that romance is serving in people's lives. Because we like to think that romance is an idea that everyone gets. It's not. Romance serves a different purpose in everyone's lives, and everyone approaches romance differently based on the habitual patterns that they brought into this life. As I have experienced and seen it so far, this is my experience that I'm sharing with you. Now, what is very interesting about this, and the thing that I have found most interesting thus far, is that most people are seeking someone who, on the surface, they say, well, I just want someone who loves me. I just want someone who's good. I just want someone who makes me laugh. I just want someone. But when you actually do this astrology and you see what's really going on, it gets right to the core of what people want. And it's usually there's much more, there's a lot more layers to it than just, well, I want someone to love me. I want someone to treat me well. People want someone who's deep, someone who's profound, someone who's heroic, someone who has extraordinary qualities. And in many cases, I will actually see an almost a desire for and a drive to meet someone who's almost heroic, to come in their life and fill their life with heroism or superior qualities or incredible depth or magic. I mean, the whole, fairy tale prince and princess thing is very much alive in the way that, in what drives people and what drives them in who and the kind of person that they're seeking. What seems to happen then is they meet someone who they think fits this. On the surface, it seems like they fit this, and that has to do with the astrological things that, the compatibility, who they're attracted to, all that other stuff comes into play. They're hoping to get a certain thing out of romance, and then they don't get it, and they're disappointed. And then they feel, in a lot of cases, and I see this as a big pattern, they turn away from life, or they become so disappointed, they go into themselves, and they think, well, what I want isn't possible, which may be the case. And here's why. It's a startling realization when you see that we as human beings want something extraordinary in our love affairs and in the people that we set up with as mates. And we want these extraordinary qualities in them. And yet, we do not value creating a time and a space for an individual to go off and actually develop those heroic, deep spiritual qualities. Now, I see it again and again in these charts. People are looking for someone to have a deep spiritual connection with. And yet, my question for everyone out there, and I want you all to think about it, is when is an individual that you want to fall in love with, when are they supposed to have the time to develop these deep spiritual qualities? Because they go from kindergarten to grammar school. They go from grammar school where they're taught, kindergarten they're taught, stand in line. Grammar school they're taught don't question. High school, stupidity is what is truly valued, and stupid behavior is what we are encouraged to cultivate, and it is lauded and extolled. And then we get to college, and by the time a person gets to college, they're so beaten down and worn out from everything that they got, and everyone telling them, well, if you don't get to college, you're not going to get a good job. By the time they get to college, they're so focused on get a good job, get a good job. When is this time where a person is supposed to develop depth of character, courage, profound, deep spiritual sense, calm, leadership? When is this stuff all supposed to develop in an individual? Because I got news for you, the stuff that's set up for people to go through right now, it isn't encouraging these things. We are not encouraging taking a time for a person to actually develop these gifts. So what happens is we get someone we're hoping has these gifts. They've never had the time in their life, and who would encourage them to take a few years? No, we're saying get a good job, get a good car, set insurance, make sure you have your insurance, make sure you pay your insurance bill. When is the person actually supposed to cultivate these extraordinary qualities? We're not valuing these qualities. We're not extolling these qualities. We're not holding these qualities up as the pinnacle of success. We are holding the guy with the biggest house or the guy who's got the sneaker deal as the heroes. Anything doing with that has to do with deeper knowledge, that has to do with intelligence, that has to do with passion, that has to do with courage, that has to do with cultivating your gifts, is kind of dismissed. And if someone says, I want to quit my job and do this, first thing everyone goes is, what are you going to do for money? And they assume that you can't do both, or that the one is not as important as the paycheck. You better go get your paycheck and make sure that the rich guy who holds the electricity gets his, so that you can continue to live. That's what's held up as important. And here's the other side of it. On the other side of things, while we're sitting here wanting to meet this heroic individual, this profound spiritual individual, this individual who we can connect with in a deep, deep level with the soul of a poet. What are we doing to cultivate that in ourselves? Because I got to tell you, if we're valuing these things too, that makes us pretty shallow and superficial. And that kind of depth, that kind of heroism, that kind of profound spiritual complexity is not attracted or going to be attracted to what's superficial. So I don't think people are asking these questions in relation to relationships. We spin the bottle and hope that it lands on someone who's a hero, and we can spend all our time in bliss afterwards, enjoying this deep spiritual connection. But no one's taking the time to develop themselves in a deep and profound spiritual way so that they can share that with other people. And if you look around at what we value, and you look around at what people spend the majority of their time doing and investing in, you will see wherein lies the problem. I am Lucky Links, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. Hey, if you want to know more about your deep, profound spiritual capabilities and start the journey of looking towards developing those things in yourself, we can do your astrology chart, your Tibetan Astrology Chart. Contact me, 779-302-8009, or conjurehope@gmail.com. Hey, if you want to get a reading from me, 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com. If you would like to take a class in divination, I have 2 in tarot, one that's a beginning and one that's an intermediate to advanced. I have 1 in Mexican Loteria, 1 in playing cards, 2 in Lenormand, 1 that's a basic and 1 that's a grand tableau, and I have 1 in how to read the crystal ball. If you want to take any of those classes, contact me same way. Also, if you'd like to do your Tibetan Khil Khor, where I make a map of your life with what the elements are going in it, and then I apply Tibetan bond processes to either remove obstacles or bring things into being, we can talk about that as well. Contact me same way. Hey, for you guys who've donated, I really appreciate it. If you like these videos and they're making you think, and you want to help donate to support them and help keep them coming, I'm going to put my PayPal, my Venmo, and the thing below. Think about it. We want someone deep. We want someone heroic. We want someone profound. And yet, the first thing we tell people is, you better go up and get a good job. And if they say, you know, I'd like to I take some time to try to cultivate these things, the first thing we say is, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to make a living? Think about it. We can't have it both ways. We can't have a deep, profound spiritual connection with each other and spend our days dealing with stuff that in the long run really doesn't produce anything for our souls.